Welcome to my first ever podcast. So new at this point, I don't even know what I'm going to call it. My name is Sherry. I live in the southwest of England, down on the coast in Devon, with my husband and my two dogs, who are both fast asleep with me in the kitchen at the moment. So this is a podcast really about things that I like to do. So it will be some knitting and crochet, sewing, embroidery. I love to do painting, books. I do a lot of reading. Generally just things that make me happy. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Sherry Iris. Actually, I'm Sherry _Iris on Instagram. I have a blog which is sherryiris.com. And I have an Etsy store which is Sherry Iris Design. I'm also on Ravelry and Pinterest, but I don't tend to update them as much because it's like going down rabbit holes. Once I start on them, I'm on them for hours. So probably Instagram is the best place if you'd like to get in touch, which would be lovely. I won't actually be showing any knitting or crocheting that I've done today because it's only just a short one, just to give you a taste. And I've got 2 pairs of socks that I'm doing, which I haven't got very far on, and a cardigan, which I'm too embarrassed to show because I've been doing it for so long. So today I'm probably just mainly going to be talking about embroidery. But I've knitted since I was very young. I was taught by my mum. I stopped for some reason. I knitted all my own jumpers when I was working, and when I've got 3 sons, and when they were babies I knitted their cardigans, etc. But then for some reason I stopped. I don't know why. But I've taken it up again over the last few years and I just love it. And I've always got something that I'm knitting. I'm a very slow knitter, so it takes me quite some time. Crochet, I was taught by my aunt, who used to do the most beautiful, intricate crochet that I don't do. I'm much more simple. And sewing, I used to make all my dolls' clothes. I played with dolls, so I was probably way too old to play with dolls. And I used to make all their clothes. I then got a sewing machine, Singer Starlet, which I've still got and I love. And I remember making, my first piece of clothing was a nightie that I made when I was in secondary school, of the most beautiful lavender, tiny ditzy print lavender, which was lovely, which I don't have anymore, but I would love to have had that. That's one thing I would love to have had from my childhood, actually, because that started from my love of sewing, and I still make my own clothes now. But I was properly taught to sew by a lovely friend of mine, Janice, who I've sadly lost touch with. And she used to make the most beautiful clothes. She then went on to St Martin's, where I think she did knitwear actually. But she taught me everything. And I was very impatient in those days, so I would make something and go out wearing it with a safety pin, whereas Jan used to have everything beautifully finished. I do that a bit more now. Although that means I've got quite a few things that aren't finished because I haven't found the right buttons, etc. Anyway, so today really was just about embroidery, and what inspires me really is definitely nature and wildlife. I'm outside walking, that's my favourite thing to do with the dogs. I love it. And I come back with flowers or with things in my head, and that's how I start. So I'll have a drawing. So I've also got lots of books. I collect vintage books on nature and wildlife, etc. So if I see a plant that I'd really love to stitch, I will probably paint it first. But then I just pick up these beautiful old books which inspire me to have a go at doing something new. They're just gorgeous. I just love these. I can't paint anything as well as I don't paint particularly well. I'm just and this kind of thing. This book, which is The Concise British Flora in Colour, Keble Martin, is an amazing book. If you love wildflowers, you want inspiration, this is the book. You can get it on Amazon, secondhand, quite cheaply. It's just beautiful. I recommend that. That's gorgeous. And birds, I collect lots of lovely old books. Oh, look at these. Which tells you all about the birds, and eggs, which is something I'd love to be able to paint actually. So that's where I get my inspiration from. And the robin, which is a thing that it's just a bird that I adore. I used to have a little robin in the house where we lived before that would eat from my hand, and if I hadn't fed it soon enough, it would come in, it would be on the kitchen floor, and you'd see the robin looking at the dogs, and the dogs looking back at the robin, and if we hadn't noticed it on the floor, it would jump on the taps, and I just loved that little robin. And I have sketched robins. This is how I usually start. I'll do a sketch, just to get to know what I'm doing really. I don't do faithful reproductions of things that I just enjoy it. I just enjoy doing them, so they're not faithful reproductions of robins, but it gets me going. And then I start stitching, and that is the beginnings of a robin, which doesn't look much like a robin really at the moment, but you know, when you're doing embroidery, you just have to keep going because it will come together, and I'm sure it will look like a robin in the end. All those out the way. So once I've done my embroideries, it's then what do you do with it? Do you put it in a hoop? You can leave it in a hoop, you can frame it in a hoop and just hang it on your wall, or you can put it in a cushion. And yet another robin, this time on a cushion. I just finished the embroidery and then just did the surround, did it to match other cushions that we had. Or, which has been happening increasingly lately, I make them into bags. Amy, very lovely Amy of Little Tailoress, showed one of my bags on her podcast, and I had lots of people asking me to make bags, and that's what I've mainly been doing with my embroideries lately. So this is a little lavender embroidery. And again, I don't think it has to be an accurate portrayal, it just has, I like to do a stylised version of it. So that's one lavender, and that's a different one, or you could say it looks a bit more like buddleier actually. I love to stitch on linens, love linens, pure linen, all different weaves, I love it. I love to work with Liberty print. I get my fabrics from Liberty, or Alice Caroline does a lovely selection of Liberty prints, and this is actually Liberty linen as well, which is lovely. That's really sweet. I can't remember the name of the Liberty now. I can't remember the name of the print, I've gone blank. I don't know why I should be nervous talking to a camera, but I'm ridiculously nervous doing this. It's just daft. So that's the kind of thing that I do, and I do actually sell those on my Etsy store at the moment. A few people have actually said to me, oh, I've started embroidery after seeing what you do. I would love if one more person took up embroidery after seeing this. All you need is a hoop. You just literally need a hoop. Any thread. I tend to use DMC thread just because I find that they're much nicer quality. They're completely colour fast, and they're lovely and silky. And they come with 6, each skein has 6 threads. You just use as many as you want. You use 1 if you want something fine, or 6 if you want something bolder. I also use, so for the robin, I'll also be using, this is just Gutermann thread, silky. I'll be using that. Normal, regular sewing thread, I shall use too, because they all give a slightly different texture and a different finish. And you can also get gorgeous, these are DMC threads as well. These are very silky, but I find I wouldn't recommend these to begin with because they're really difficult to work with. Lots of rude words when you work with that. And I also loved picking up vintage cotton, so really you can sew with anything, on anything, linen, cotton, an old shirt, anything. And then once I've opened them, I just store them around a peg to keep it tidy. And then I just keep all my threads together in colour coordinated boxes because I've got so many of them. But it's just so simple to do. If you've got a hoop and any piece of fabric and any thread you have, ideally embroidery thread, but any thread, you're on your way. So I'll show you the different things that I'm embroidering on the blogs, on the podcast next time. And another thing that got me going, I'm going to have to go and get this. Sorry about that. I think my battery just ran out. God, this is stressful. And one of the things that got me back into embroidery again, I tend to do things cyclically. So it's all about embroidery, it's all about crocheting. Then there'll be a lull for a while. And what got me back into embroidery was taking part in some embroidery swaps. Well, it doesn't have to be embroidery, it can be anything. But with me, it's always embroidery. And it's organised by somebody called Ali. She's on Very Berry Handmade. She's on Instagram and she's got a blog. And I will put a link to her page. She's got a lovely Instagram feed as well. And she organises, ATC stands for Artist Trading Card, and they're credit card sized pieces of art. I think it just has to be fabric of some kind. That's the first one I received. The theme for this one, I think it was What Makes Me Smile, and I said, for my swap partner, you don't know who your swap partner is. Sorry, you know who your swap partner is, but you don't know who you're going to receive it from. Mine was the countryside, so she has embroidered me, these are fields of lavender and sunflowers. That's just so lovely. And I've received and sent from all over the world. So it's a lovely thing that Ali does, and I really enjoy it. That's another one. You can just do what you like on these, so long as they're credit card size. And the latest one that I received, I can't remember what you call these now, these hoops, but you can, some people wear them as necklaces, or you can take this off and wear it as a brooch. I've actually got this hanging on my hall mirror. That's lovely. And I think these swaps are really lovely to take part in. In fact, she's probably got another one starting soon, or I've missed it. She's just missed it, but it's about that time. As I said, I'm not going to show any knitting or crochet today. I've got a couple of pairs of socks that I've started. I've got a cardigan and I've got another crochet blanket. Big decision over whether I went for granny squares or not. I didn't, because I end up starting that and then I've got a pile of them and then I get fed up with it. So I've actually just gone for stripes. I think it's the Cozy Stripe, Attic 24. That I've started, but I'll show you next time. But things that I'm making at the moment, just one thing that I wanted to quickly show you today is, this is Luna Lappin. This is my second Luna Lappin that I made with her little Liberty feet and ears. Really enjoying doing this, bit of a wonky head. Really enjoying doing this. It's from the book. My son thinks she's a bit creepy at the moment because she has no eyes or arms and just sits there. Looks a bit creepy. but it's from this book. I'm hoping that this is focusing. Making Luna Lappin, and very stylish Luna. And she has, if I can find it. Look at those pyjamas. I'm definitely making all these. This harks back to when I used to make dolls' clothes. Perfect for this time of the year. Or when it's not. But I'm already in Christmas mode. I'm already thinking about Christmas. But you can also make her a chair. Look at that. So when she's finished, she will have eyes and arms and a chair and something ever so stylish to wear. So I would recommend that. It's Sarah Peel. She's on Instagram, I think, as well. She has a website. That's brilliant. And I find it's just been a nice, easy sew. I've made things like this before. I've made Alicia Pawson, I can't think what the bunny was called, which was lovely to make. And this is similar. It's a nice, easy thing to just sit and do. It's not too fiddly. So I would recommend that. That was lovely. It's lovely. And you'll have eyes soon, I promise. Something else that I've got planned I want to sew is from this book, The Hand Stitched Home, and this is Caroline Zub. She has got a lovely Instagram feed as well, and she does the most. This is a lovely book, just tells you everything in here, and she's got some really lovely projects in here, but she stitches sort of pastoral scenes. Completely different type of embroidery to what I do. I haven't attempted anything like this. And in here there is a pelmet, a kitchen pelmet. So I'm filming this in my kitchen at the moment. I apologise if you can hear my dog snoring, so could be worse. I'm filming this in my kitchen because we're supposed to be at the end of summer here in the UK, but it's a really gloomy day, and I just thought this was the best light. We've literally had no summer, I don't think. Anyway, back in June it was really, really hot, and I remember we went to Glastonbury and we had to queue in all that heat. And then it stopped, and I'm looking outside now and the trees are blowing, and I don't know. Anyway, so that's why I'm in the kitchen. So in my kitchen I've got a window and I've got a blind up there, but nobody can see in here, so I don't want to make a curtain. I'm going to make a pelmet. Sorry, I digress. So I'm going to make that, which she has done, and it's called the Vintage Patchwork Pelmet, and she's just patched lots of bits of embroidery together and fabric that she loves to make a pelmet, which I'm definitely going to do. I collect vintage fabrics. This is a tray cloth. How lovely is that? All hand stitched. So beautiful. And this is a tea cosy, well, cover for a tea cosy, which I would absolutely not use for a tea cosy cover because it would be splashed with tea. And although it's a bit sacrilegious to cut it up, I want to use it. I don't want it just to be in a drawer. So this isn't the right colour. I need pale blues and greys and things like that. And this is a lovely bit of a quilt. So this will go into something. Actually, I might do that somewhere else in those colours. But this book is lovely. I've had it for quite a while now, and I recommend this. It's lovely. There's lots of time. You buy books sometimes and they've got lovely projects in, but you don't actually do them. But I do in that one. And the other thing, I've just ordered my yarn to make the Liula shawl. That a lovely pattern by Emma from the what's it called? Can't remember. Podcast Potter and Bloom. Can't remember. I'll put it in there. But I've just ordered my wool and I've got my pattern, and I'm taking that away on holiday with me. I've got lots of books. I've got about 6 books. I won't read 6 books, but I have to take them with me, otherwise I panic. That's it. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I've rambled. I don't know what I've said. I don't even remember what I've said, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you. Oh my goodness, meant to say Game of Thrones. Spoiler, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, don't listen to this part. Game of Thrones. Peter, Game of Thrones mug. That's because I've got 3 sons. And she's got 3 dragons. Well, she did have 3 dragons. Lord Peter Baelish, when it was sort of, we were all, yeah. But then, I'm really going to miss him, actually. And Jamie Lannister. Who knew I'd be a Jamie Lannister fan?